I'm Bill Corcoran Jr., and I'm your host for the On the Stacks podcast. Today, I'm chatting with Jessica Sheehan, operator and chef at Bettelli's Villa. What's up, podcast episode 47. Welcome to the On the Stacks podcast. Jessica, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for that intro music. That was special.
Did you like that?
I did. It was different than usual.
Yeah, I know. The usual one will still be there, but I figured I had to throw that one in. I mean, it's only fitting, with the pizza, Italian, the whole bit. I mean,
I feel the love. I feel,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel great.
So welcome to the podcast. And you brought some really awesome homemade, fresh out of the oven pizza. You made it yourself.
I did.
So you brought a few different pies.
Yeah, I
today.
threw a couple combinations at you, a couple 4 trays with 8 sort of,
so tell me a little bit about them.
I brought you one of just our traditional red that I paired with our traditional white. Those are just sort of the bases for anything else you wanted to build up on top of it. And then I brought one with just that could showcase sort of how fresh our ingredients are, and that I could mix it up with doing raw onions baked in or raw onions on top or sauteed onions. Whenever, we add that little extra touch there. And then some specialty ones, the meat lovers, a broccoli and cheese, the margarita, and veggie lovers too. Yeah.
All good. All really good.
Little feast.
I think I had almost one of each. Almost.
You were going hard there for a second.
I was. I really was. Yeah. So thanks again for bringing the pizza. It was,
it's
really
an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about the family business. You guys have been in the restaurant business for a long time, a 4th generation family business. So,
yes.
So, take me back to the beginning. Give me a little bit of history of the family business. Where did it start? Who started it? Kind of go from there.
So my great-grandparents actually started it in Miners Mills. There's a small bar that's open now and operates called the Cracker Jack. And that at one point in time in the 40s was called Bettelli's Cafe. And that's where my great-grandfather, my great-grandmother had a small bar. They lived above it. Restaurant. They catered to the neighborhood. I've heard some pretty cool stories just being in the industry for so long. I've met some people who knew them, which was really cool. So I've gotten to hear some cool little tidbits about Miners Mills in the 40s.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. From there, my great-grandfather's son, my grandfather, he and my grandmother moved to where things were really picking up and happening on the square. It was 1952. They opened the Pizza Casa.
You brought the original sign.
I brought the sign.
Brought the original Pizza Casa sign with you today, which is really cool.
The surviving piece.
Yeah.
Besides, of course, the recipes, it's I think the only little bit of the structure that I have left.
Yeah.
Yeah, from that place, and then the flood came. My grandfather was able to reopen for 1 year, solid year back on the square, and he called it Bettelli's. Changed the name from Pizza Casa to Bettelli's. My grandmother had a vision of doing more fine dining. She wanted to get away from the pizza shop and sort of start getting into a more affluent clientele. Pocono Downs was really happening at that time.
And this was flood of 1972, by the way, just to put things in perspective for some people, who may not know that maybe we're out of town.
That we're that old. We're so old.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So flood of 1972, and then you guys only stayed there for about a year.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you moved to the location that you're in now.
My grandfather did a good surveillance of the area and I think made a great decision in how things were growing. So pre-Cross Valley, the restaurant was built and it opened April 1st, 1975.
Wow.
So we're coming on our 41st year in that building, right? Yeah, 41st year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where did it go from there? You moved to the new building.
We moved to the new building. My grandmother worked with an architect. I still have the blueprints for the building of Bettelli's Villa on Kidder Street now, and that's where we've been ever since. But she imported this Italian tile, which is in our foyer in our bar area. All the wrought iron structure and stuff. She really wanted to capture sort of this villa-esque sort of Tuscan,
from Italy.
Yeah, it's Tuscan home to be hospitable to the people in the area and just how things were changing and growing at the time. She took a step in a direction to leave sort of the the casual dining, and people were upset. They got upset. They missed their pizza. They missed the Pizza Casa pizza. And so reluctantly, with a lot of extra work now, catering to like
To
the
both?
fine dining, like white tablecloth crowd, she was then making the pizza that is very labor intensive. So
Yeah.
she just, the customer's always right. You know,
Yeah. Had to bring back the pizza, give the people what they want.
Yeah. So they were only doing it on certain nights for a while. I remember growing up and it was like, we were known for having it on Fridays or this, that. And
So like you guys only made it on certain nights then?
yeah. Yeah. For a long time, she just held it or would serve it on like, you know, Lent, Pizza Friday around here. Pizza on Fridays
This is like a thing.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
So
how did that even start?
I have no idea. I would imagine it has to come out of that Lenten sort of,
Yeah.
you know,
I would think so.
that tradition. But for whatever reason, and just the fact there's so much great pizza in the area, just let's make a day of it every week, right?
Yeah,
Here you go, pizza day. So yeah.
So like, where are the recipes? Like, you know, how, you know, who came up with the recipes? It's still the same recipe if I'm
My great
correct.
grandmother taught my grandmother how to cook. I never met my grandfather. He passed away before I was born, but she really was the kitchen and at the Pizza Casa, and my grandfather ran the bar and was like sort of the face. But she powered through everything, and yeah, she was the one that kept everything going past my grandfather's death and everything. So it was really a woman run business, and I learned everything from her, what she learned from her mother-in-law. And you know, I just grew up cooking. It was not something that really was just where I was.
Yeah. So like, how did you get involved with the business? I mean, as a kid, I'm sure you probably worked at the restaurant.
We were there every day, you know. So my mom worked there. My dad and mom were split when I was young, and we spent the majority of our time with my mom and my grandmother. My grandmother lived above the restaurant, so there was an apartment there. We spent, you know, sort of the days there. If we were to be seen, we had to help out. So just if you wanted to get out of isolation and you wanted to see what the action was, you had to pitch in. So cheesing pizza from a very young age.
I was going to say, what did you start doing?
My first jobs were like prepping in salads. I was 8 and 9 years old. I was like creeping down there. They couldn't keep me away. So
they put you to work.
And you know, at the time you're like that age, you just want to help. You're just like, you're running.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
Right?
You're like you're a significant part of the machine.
Yeah.
So I did dishes. I started doing sides. I started learning like how to prep in for my gram to get it onto the saute, you know, whatever the stage was in the food. I was able to, from a very young age, pick that up. And then I got bored with that and I wanted to see the people. So I started bussing tables when I was too young.
Yeah.
But, you know, my grandmother said I could. So I went out and started bussing, and then I waitressed, you know, prematurely, was able to like be like, listen, I can do it. I won't carry drinks because you couldn't carry alcohol at a certain age. And, but you know, I still finagled my way into just mastering that part of the hospitality industry. And then I bartended and I did everything. I've done everything you could think of, janitor, you know, maintenance.
Got to do it all, right?
Got to do it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So then what? You know, you're a teenager, and then, you know, after high school, what did you do?
Yeah. So being so enthralled in the family business, I think like in the back of like, I wanted to get away, you know, so badly. I thought I could get out of this valley, just like every other 18-year-old wanted to at the time. Like, let me see the world. I had already seen a lot of the world because my grandmother also traveled us quite extensively. I'm very grateful for that. She gave me this like wanderlust that I cannot satiate. But she, you know, we went to private school, all on the labor of the restaurant. We, you know, working class kids in this like really, you know, privileged place, a great education, great access to culture from around the world. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. And it was all because of the restaurant. So I knew I couldn't go too far from it when I did start to apply for college. And I was an athlete. So I was playing soccer competitively and looking at some D1 schools. And I ended up at St. Joe's with a bit of some scholarship stuff and some interest from the coach. And I stayed close enough, but got a little of a Philadelphia life in me. So it was nice to experience that. But it was a good thing because my mom had a brain aneurysm my senior year. My grandmother had a stroke. not long after that, and with the experience that I had built up just from being a curious kid, I was able to at least get them through the decision making of what was going to happen with the place.
And was this did this happen during when you were in college or right after college?
Yeah, my senior year. So I switched my major around. I was about to major. I was in a whole bunch of I can't make a decision about much, but I was about to graduate with education degree, and I would have been student teaching to get the requirements and practice done and things to be a public school educator. I had a dream of going into Teach for America or Peace Corps or something to just see the world. But yeah, I got the news of my mom's brain aneurysm, and it was like a lot of quick moving to figure out how she and my 79-year-old grandmother were going to get through that. My mom survived. She had open brain surgery, months on end. I switched my schedule around to where I also had a job in Philly. So I was moving. Everyone was so gracious for me and compassionate. And I was able to get all the requirements done, where I graduated with 2 majors, English and sociology. So I have those,
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. I took my LSATs. I had like law school on the radar at one point. I just like to read.
Yeah.
but
also make pizzas.
But I had a great, I had the skill. I had sort of the background. My grandmother didn't write recipes down. No one else was really around her that long to pick up on her techniques and stuff. So it wasn't an easy decision, but it was a quick decision.
Yeah.
And I decided that I would figure out how to keep the business going until more decisions could be made about my grandmother's health and future.
Mm-hmm. So then you came back, obviously.
I came back. We worked it out where the idea was that I would maintain the restaurant as is, run it just the way they were running it until I wanted my grandmother to see her legacy fulfilled. I didn't want her to pass away before, I didn't want the restaurant to end before she passed away. So I wanted her I wanted the restaurant to outlive her. That was very important to me. So I did that. My grand passed away 5 years ago. Coming up, she'd pass away on Christmas time. So it's a difficult time of year for me. And but the memory of her and what I've been able to accomplish, I think she'd be proud. So
yeah,
it's been all right.
Yeah, well, that's really cool that you carried that out for her.
Yeah. It meant a lot to me. Like I said, she gave me so much. The education that I got from Wyoming Seminary is priceless, but very expensive.
Yeah, a lot of pizzas for that.
And I got to go just because it took my grandma a long time to fulfill her dream of seeing the world, that I just happened to be the right age to be a good travel companion. So my brother and I were, approaching middle school, and we started to go to Alaska, Hawaii, Italy, Australia, the Baltic Sea, through the Panama Canal. We just started to go. I was in St. Petersburg. I was in, Germany. I saw the Berlin Wall. It's just what I got to experience. We used to go to Acapulco every year. Mexico, I used to play with like local kids. Like it's different.
Wow, what
today.
An experience!
I got so much more. It took me a while to really appreciate what I had and how I grew up and how special it was, because it wasn't typical.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, after your grandmother passed, so then what? I mean, you obviously you stayed in the restaurant.
I did.
So what was kind of that? What was the next chapter?
I stayed and I struggled. I really struggled with life without what I considered my grounding force. My grandmother sort of was my moral compass. I am a bit of a reckless person. I did tend to burn the candle at both ends, and when I lost her, it got harder to handle.
How so?
I couldn't emotionally accept that she was gone, and I couldn't emotionally accept that I had sort of dug myself a hole with a bit of excessive drinking. I was becoming an alcoholic because I couldn't address my emotional and my, mental issues. I missed her so much, and I started to not care about things without her.
So did you know you were going down that path?
Not at the time. You get distracted with things. I found myself in a relationship with another person who abused drugs and alcohol, and I think also having alcoholic parents, it's easy for me to attach to people who are living that lifestyle, because I think ultimately, and ever since I was young, I thought I could save them. I thought I could save the people drinking. And as I got older, you realize how easy it is to slip into the fun side of drinking. And this area in particular has a pretty,
Yeah.
firm.
People like to drink.
People like to drink in Nepa.
Yeah.
But there's so much to do, and that to me was never the draw to this area. Like, I've always loved the people, and I've always loved the access you have being here to the cities, to the culture, to the mountains. The mountains are my special place, and we have all of it. We have all of it kind of within a stone's throw, and I think just a whole bunch of us, I think, started taking too much for granted here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of those people. And I was lucky enough to not be successful in an attempt on my life. I let myself get so self-loathing and so self-involved in depression and in the sad and the hard parts that I forgot. I forgot how I was raised, and how we can endure. And it had a lot to do with being honest, and it had a lot to do with finding the right resources and trusting those resources that are not, again, cheap.
So what was the turning point for you that you said, like, I need to make a change?
I didn't choose it. I hit a bottom. I didn't make the choice. If I had my choice at the time, I'd be dead. Laughing's a defense mechanism. I don't think this is funny at all. But I've been able over the past 2 years of having this very serious accident to go to treatment. I realized coming out of this hole that I had to either finish the job that I was going to do, because what's the point, or really make an attempt on fixing what was broken. And what it comes down to with addiction is the broken thing is me. I was broken, and it's very specific to each person who has to go on this path. That I needed a deep, intensive amount of therapy coming my way to shake me out of just the thought that life wasn't worth living.
So what did you do? Like what really, what helped you?
I reached out to an old friend of my mom's who was in the counseling industry. I reached out to people I respected, who I knew had some issues with substance abuse. I found Karen Treatment Centers, which is in Warnersville, outside of Reading. And it's a dual diagnostic center, and they saved my life. And it was great to be there for 30 days. It was very difficult at first. And I think sometimes when I talk about it, it sounds like I was at a spa or a resort because of how much I got out of it. But it was, the first 2 weeks were torture. You're in this place. It's unfamiliar. It's, if depending on your addiction, you're going through withdrawal. I didn't go through withdrawals of any kind. I wasn't a daily drinker. I was a binge drinking, it was mixed with a lot of depression and anxiety. I want and choose to maintain my recovery holistically. So I do a lot of talk therapy. I have 2 therapists. I have a lot of connection to support groups. And that's how you do it. You stay connected to the people who are doing it, and you jump in their pockets, and then you chill there until until they're like, hey, let someone in your pocket. That's just, it's a beautiful cycle of love and effort.
Is there anyone maybe specifically that really helped you?
Oh yeah, tons. I mean, off the top of my head, I can name Robert Knapp Corey, who is a dear customer and friend of mine, and he works with Intermetro, but he's just a beautiful business person who's influenced me so much, and a generous person, and just believed in me enough to support me through leaving. I had to leave the restaurant for 30 days, and get my life together. David Corral, who I know people have mentioned on this podcast before, he is a huge ball of love. And he's a gift to this area. In my opinion, he is one of the people who I think is pushing, Wilkes-Barre and the surrounding area to be a bit more fun and a bit more artistic and a bit more creative. So, and not to take life as seriously as we do. I think that's how a lot of us get in trouble. We forget the joy. So, and of course, my mom and my dad and, countless friends. I have a new man in my life who I met in recovery, and just having someone who understands this part of my life, it's huge. And just, countless of people in the industry who understand and who rallied around me to, keep me going in this industry, because it's hard to stay in this industry, it being, one that has so much fun and festivity and celebration and spirits. There's a lot of alcohol that goes into, even I cook with alcohol. So, it's just, you're aware of it and your kryptonite, and you endure and you persevere.
Yeah. So is that still, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but being in the restaurant industry with alcohol around, I mean, we talked a little bit beforehand, but you said like it's a kind of a common thing in the restaurant world of addiction.
It's hard to find someone in the industry, I think, who hasn't been affected in some way. Like maybe they're not alcoholics or addicts, but maybe they've had a DUI, or maybe they've had, just a run-in with the law late at night because they were on late shift. And, who knows how it works for each person. But it's real. It's really a part of this industry. There's a lot of pressure on us to put out a product that we can't mark up and make, this like financial fortune off of. It's an art that's instantly criticized. You're putting a piece of yourself out there and people are telling you your sauce is this, your noodles are dry, or, whatever, whatever they think they know. You have these tools and what could be like really beautiful resources for marketing and stuff, and like places for customer review. And then you have people who get entitled or mean or, just had a bad experience in one day and take it out on you for like weeks. You have to build a thick skin in this. And I think sometimes at the end of a shift, you want to chill. You want to take the edge off of like the really tough days that we, as creative people go through. Sometimes you're like spending hours and hours and hours trying to figure out a new recipe or trying to figure out a new concept or a new way to reinvent the wheel, like with food, and you're competing against McDonald's and, and fast convenience and, we're getting a little bit of a backhand. So it just, there's a lot that could stress you out in this industry.
Yeah.
And it's not like better or worse than any other place, but it is a place where it's accessible, and it's easy to be around people who are just one, I'd walk into a bar so many times and it's like I'm there at 12:30, so everyone I'm meeting is already 3 sheets to the wind, so I'm getting welcomed with shots. Like I didn't even get my beer in, but like here I am walking in on the like final countdown. And so what do? You catch up, I found that so much of what happened to me specifically was an insecurity and, a hard time, like really fitting in anywhere. I wasn't a poor kid, but I wasn't a wealthy kid at SEM. But outside of SEM, I was a SEM chick, which didn't make sense to me. I wasn't wealthy. My mom married a wealthy guy, so I had access to this beautiful home and all these like luxuries, but I didn't earn them. And everything always kind of like, I was always sort of spinning, So I think today, being able to look back with a pause and with some new light on what emotional health is and what can creep in on you from your childhood is that it's part of the growing, life's a journey, and growing pains are just as real in your 30s as they are in your teens, and you're going to go through some shit. But I'm choosing today to do it with, a different outlook on different diet. I don't put poison in my body anymore. Alcohol for me is a poison. It disrupts a whole bunch of other things that I can't, and I really need to take the time to focus on. It's a full body effort for me to keep myself from having these sort of panic attacks that I can have. So
how do you deal with that?
I have great doctors, and I just found Dr. Devin Carey. She's a generational doctor. She took over her father's practice. It was important to me to find someone young for my clinician after having a bad experience with a doctor in my teens who wanted to put me on Zoloft because I was having like heart palpitations. You know what I mean? I wouldn't take that prescription, and I wouldn't ever, I continued to be anti-pharmaceuticals just because I couldn't believe I was getting thrown these things. And so that bad experience, I was a strong-minded kid, like took me through my life, and I would avoid aspirin, but I would drink my face off. And so, I was using alcohol as medicine, and I was hurting, doing much more hurt than I was doing good. And through a long process of just, I can't believe in coincidence anymore. I believe in fate. I believe in destiny. I believe in the right things happening at the right time. I believe I was always a good and honorable person, but I didn't know how to express my truth about what was happening inside of me. And I think a lot of people have that problem because it's hard to talk about what's going on inside of us.
So how did you overcome that?
Oh, gee, like I didn't. I succumbed to it, and I survived, thank God. I didn't. I really, really had a case of the fuckets, and I wasn't afraid of dying. I hadn't lost my faith in I wasn't a non-spiritual person. I had lost my faith in humanity and things that I was seeing and what I was kind of experiencing in a toxic relationship and having a toxic relationship with my mom, because I realized like that's where my codependency is. It's not on men. It's not on this or that. It's like I'm so afraid that if I don't take care of my mom, no one will. If I don't take care of this restaurant, it's going to be gone. Like I got so attached to things that weren't healthy for me. And now I have, it's been 2 years. I haven't had a drink since
I was going to say, how long have you been sober?
It'll be 2 years in February. So the anniversary is on the day of this beautiful Nepa Chefs for Sustainability event that I was a part of 2 years ago to, do a farm rescue dinner. And I pulled it off with all these chefs and just had a bad night of like this bittersweet end of all this pressure that had built up and caused insomnia and fights and, just so much stress. And we pulled it off. And by the end of the night, having celebrated and having had a rough time dealing with my personal life, I, locked the door on the last chef who was so kind to be with me that night. And the last thing I remember is waking up in a hospital. You know what I mean? I went to go to bed, but I had taken like a deep, deep amount of bourbon into my system, praying to die. And today I'm grateful that didn't happen.
Wow.
And I wouldn't take back that day for anything, because what I've gone through in the last 2 years has been nothing short of miraculous growth that can only be achieved from like, the grand compilation of what's supposed to happen. So I feel blessed today.
Well, that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you for letting me share. It's the first time I've kind of spoken about it outside of the recovery community, and it's cathartic. I really appreciate you letting me do it. And I also want to say, because you did know about my situation before I came here, and you told me that you had alcohol here, and you were so considerate as to like ask me if I'd be comfortable here. And I just want to let you know that it's not something that that I think people really think about,
Yeah.
because they think, oh, it's my problem. But that connection, that's friends, that's love. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
and disclosure, like I'm not drinking right now, by the way.
Oh, no. The party's over.
Yeah. Party's over. Yeah.
Pizza only.
Yeah. No, but yeah, no, I do. I do keep alcohol here in the studio, and occasionally, me and some other guests, we do like to, have a drink or two. But yeah, I didn't want to put you, I knew your situation, and I didn't want to put you. I definitely would never put you want to put anyone in an awkward position like that. So
It was very kind, and I think it was more thoughtful than you're giving yourself credit for.
Yeah.
It's we have to protect ourselves. I'm in the industry still, I'm very lucky that I have the support system that I do, that I can still go and support other bars. I can eat at places that I enjoy. I can go see when I could, I would go see shows at the Jazz Cafe. I would support Carl Hall. Like I would support like all these beautiful venues, the Kirby Center. I'd go. It doesn't bother me that it's there. I know it's my problem today, and live and let live, but live well.
So are there other activities that maybe you do now that you didn't do before that kind of help you?
Sure. I talk to women. I was kind of a tomboy, and I had a bit of a resentment towards some ladies. Just the females in general in my life. I lost the one that I loved, and I was like bitter of anyone that had a great relationship with their mom, and I was bitter with anyone. So today I have a great group of women in my life that I was not expecting. I have some beautiful friends from high school and college that I don't think ever be without. But I have new friends in recovery, and it's special. It's just the bond is different, just because just like anyone who goes through anything, certain traumas, the gift is being a part of something. So that I do a lot of meditation. I've gotten more into reading things that are Buddhist driven, not I'm not a religious person, but spiritual for sure. And I find that you can sort of cultivate a spiritual routine for yourself out of all the beautiful parts of all the different ways people celebrate their God, So I don't know, just an awareness, I think, of more good. I'm much more like, I've never not been an optimist, I don't think, but I don't let the negativity get to me the way it used to. And I don't know. Not drinking's weird in this area.
It is. Yeah. It's a tough thing.
But completely doable and enjoyable, in my opinion. And there's a lot to see and a lot to do and a lot to like kind of re-experience. Like I've done things before where maybe I had a drink or two, and it's like now I do them, and it's just it's different. So it's fun.
It's okay without it.
Oh yeah. I mean, let the good times roll. That's not what makes it. It's definitely the people of this valley, the musicians in this valley, the artists. It's like it's an incredible place. I think like you have a lot of material for your podcast, I think.
Yeah. So if someone were listening right now and either themselves may be suffering or struggling from an addiction, or maybe they know someone that might be currently suffering, what advice would you give to them?
I think it's reaching out. It's the first step is the hardest, and I didn't have really the luxury of keeping of my situation private, because I had made I had a big accident. I had a public accident, and I have a public business, so I had to kind of let people know what was going on. But the amount of love and support that I got immediately just by saying the words, just by putting it out there that I didn't know. I didn't have to say that I was an alcoholic, or I have a panic disorder, or I have this or that, the other thing. Like all I had to say was that I don't know what's going on with me, and I need to figure it out. And from there, I couldn't not get advice. I couldn't not get love. It was pouring in from all angles and unexpected places. Just because you said something, someone came out of the woodwork. From my past, it was just like, hey, I went through this. Like I went to this place you're going. Like you're going to be okay. It's connect. The opposite of addiction to me is connection. So it's the first thing that you need to do is, and it could be a hotline, it could be anything, but like the weight that comes off of you once you say the words, once you get it out there that you're just unsure of what's going on inside of you, it starts to, if you have to then like follow through, obviously, but it starts to open doors.
Yeah, but it's like the weight of the world's off your shoulders.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. It's crazy what the mind can do. It's crazy what the disconnect from the, if you believe in this kind of stuff, like the mind, soul, body, that being disconnected, it happens a lot. I see in sort of like the community that I'm in today and outside of it, but we address it, we acknowledge it, we're aware of it, and all we want to do is help. You just want to keep doing, you want to keep helping. And that's where I found the real part of recovery is that I can give it back and give what was given to me so willingly and so freely. Not necessarily freely when I went to rehab because that was expensive, but the people, it's all about the people.
So, well, thanks again for sharing that. I think a lot of people that listen will probably, get, really be able to take some of the information, whether they're struggling or not. But it's a really good story, and we're glad you're here.
There's no right way. That's, I think, like the important thing is that there's no right way. There's lots of outlets. There's lots of support groups. There's lots of different, you just gotta look.
Yeah.
And I'm at Bettelli's. If you need me, I'm there. Like that's where I'm chained. They cut the cord today.
Just let you out today for the podcast, right?
Yeah, for this. And but I'm always available. I'm always available for anyone, anything you need. If you're hungry, or you need to talk. If you just want to see what I look like. I have a face for radio, but
so do I. So. We're both here in this together.
Yeah, we're all in everything together.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're all here, and we should be here. We should be here together. So it's nice to be back. It's nice to be present from wherever I was, where I forgot so much.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about the pizza.
Okay.
So back to the pizza. Tell me a little bit how they're made. I know you make everything like completely from scratch. So start there.
So I use the same supplier that my grandmother used, City Major, Armin Lepore and his family. They're running a multi-generational business there. That's my pizza guy. I get my tomatoes, my flour, my 40-pound blocks of cheese that I cut in house. I get all that from him, and then it's just a labor of love. It's every day that I serve pizza. I make it fresh. Nothing sitting overnight or anything. The dough proofs pretty quickly for the thinness that we want. So it's just hands-on, tried and true technique. You get it in pans. It raises a couple times. And then I just have 5 commercial ovens in there that you rotate. You can get 10 pizzas through at any kind of stage. And then it's just an eye, a human eye, rotating it, making sure you don't get too crispy here, too crispy there, putting it on the rack at the right time. It's hard work.
And you do it all yourself?
I do it with a very good sous chef and friend, Rob Filia. He has a background from Banco's. I know a lot of people miss that place. So Banco's, he was at Twigs up in Tunkhannock for a bit, but he also has a background in commercial flooring. So he's responsible for some of the cool things going on at the restaurant in terms of some renovations I did with the first round of COVID when the shutdowns happened. So
what did you do?
I pulled up a carpet. I painted chairs. I had an artist, AJ Bartoletti, come and do some sacred geometry on some of the tables and stuff, like just real cool stuff. I'm just trying to, this place is me for sure. But I'm a bit vintage and a bit punk and a bit present. I don't even know, like maybe I'm a bit future, but it was like The Godfather in there. He's like, you'd walk in and you'd swear there's going to be like someone with the cement shoes, like in
the back. Don't say the wrong thing. Bada bing, bada boom. Right?
Red leather and black rotting. So I'm just trying to recoil a bit from the fine dining. I love the pizza. I love brunch. I have a dream of having a place called Bettelli's Pizza and Eggs. So
I'll be there.
It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. I've eaten lots of eggs on my pizza before, like cracked, just fresh, sunny side up. They bake in there all runny still. It's amazing.
Wow.
I've made a version, like a pizza version of a shashuka. If you've ever had something like that, it's like a Mediterranean, like Israeli stewed like eggs poached in tomatoes, and they serve it with like either pita or my mouth is watering. I'm sorry. But I'd love to sort of and another dream of mine would be I would love to eventually get back on the square. I think like if that's ever possible, it'd be fun to reopen a pizza casa on the square. So I don't know what my future holds, but it's going to be in wilkes-barre and it's going to be in pizza. And, maybe I can organize some group travel events and stuff and take my customers where I like to go. So there's a lot, the future's it's wide open.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So being, you're the fourth generation in the business. Like, what does that mean to you?
It's scary. There's a lot of responsibility. The legacies, it's serious because I do get stories from these now, 70, 80, 90-year-old people who come up to me and they're like, your grandfather was the only one in the neighborhood that had a car, but he was so short and you couldn't see over the steering wheel. And then I had a gentleman at one of these SPCA benefits I had done tell me that my grandmother used to leave slices for the neighborhood boys, like just where they could reach it and pull it off. My grandfather hated it, and she used to angle the TV that they had because no one had a TV. They'd angle the TV so the boys could watch like some of the ball games or whatever was going on I don't know what was on TV in the 40s, but and they'd play bottle caps under the one light that was on the corner there. So I've heard some like incredible stories, and then from the pizza class, oh my God, the stories I hear about that place, it's just it's powerful. It's powerful stuff to be a part of a place and a part of an area. And, like I said, it was something I took for granted so much, but that it's the biggest compliment to me is when people tell me that they remember just like it was, or it tastes the same. I love hearing stories about people getting engaged. Their first date was at Bettelli's, was at the Pizza Casa. Like the people from Social Security used to go there. King's kids used to go there. And I just, I remember the staples of places I went in college. Like I want to be that again. Like I'd love to provide. And just because I have like a bit of I care about food. Like I love the quality means something to me. So having that in a pizza place, I think would be like special.
Yeah. What is your favorite thing about NEPA?
My favorite thing about NEPA? The food. The food is crazy here, and it's growing. Now we're getting a lot of, there's been an influx of like Latin culture, and I love a lot of the ethnic food coming through, like downtown Wilkes-Barre and stuff. Taqueria Paraiso is really good. That's on like South Main Street. Burrito Loco is so good. This little food truck that was like Torito Blanco, like they went where like the Daily Donut used to be. I love the small businesses here. I love your business here. You're a multi-generational, like, person, and you can find, we're everywhere, and it's fun. It's fun here. It's fun. The history here is incredible. Like what they're doing, preserving the Iron Temple, like that's amazing to me. Just the buildings, architecture. I drive through, all these places to get my tacos and my Mexican food, and I'm constantly looking at the houses and like down by Myers and stuff. I love it here. I do. I really love it here. I love Harvey's Lake. I love Ricketts Glen.
So what do you like more, tacos or pizza? Oh, it sounds like you're really into tacos.
When you make the thing, I make my own pizza, but I also love Vesuvio's pizza. So, I have to, throw out like when I'm not eating my own.
Yeah. Whose do you eat?
I eat,
give him a little shout out.
That's family too. Joe Paglianiti is my godfather. And, but Vesuvio's, I go there like almost every week. Something about their round pie reminds me of this little place in 44th that was called Sal's by the lower school. And I remember like before soccer games, we'd go there and get their like round try. And the pizza at Vesuvio's is just, and I love the guys there. They're hardworking people. Great. Just, you start to know your competitors, I guess you want to call them, if you want to call them that. I look at them as, motivators.
That's a good way to look at it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and my pizza's just different. So it's like
it's not really competition.
Yeah, you could eat my pizza. You could eat 7 different pizza places any given week, and you'd have like a special and different experience each time. Because that's great. That's another great thing about this area, the food culture, like the pizza specifically. It's just to be known for that. It's special.
Yeah. So do you ever get sick of eating pizza?
No, I eat pizza. I eat pizza every day. I eat pizza every day that I'm open, and then Vesuvio sometimes, and then I
gotta get on this pizza diet.
Fill in with tacos.
Man, I gotta get on this pizza diet you're talking about.
I did this elimination diet not too long ago because I also have been trying to complete this health coach certification, which has been difficult given my stint in rehab and then and then COVID. So it's been hard for me to get this. It's an online certification through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, but I forget what I was going to say about it. Anyway, now I'm talking too much. What were we talking about?
The health certification that you're to go on this diet or something.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to experience. I'm pretty healthy, like food wise. I've been mindful of it because I've had these panic attacks and things. I was trying everything to stay away from a doctor or a therapist for a long time. So I was doing yoga, I was doing this, I was doing the other thing, and I finally came across this class, and they were teaching you how to like sort of navigate through wellness through nutrition. So food's secondary, but you have all these primary like influences in what could determine or disrupt your diet, your hormones, your lifestyle, your stress levels. And through all that, I did an elimination diet so I could coach others through it. I didn't need to go. I have no food allergies or sensitivities, but I eliminated gluten, dairy, corn, eggs, and sugar all at once. And I didn't eat any of that for 3 weeks. So that was tough. That was really tough.
Yikes.
And then you reintroduce things slowly to see if you have any sensitivities. And I did find some areas where I don't need to eat a pint of ice cream every day. I do.
Or a whole pie, just one slice.
I always do. But I'm such a busy, active person that I'm fine eating whatever I want. The quality matters. It matters. You could eat pizza. Just make sure it's good pizza. You could eat a burger. Just make it a good burger. Don't eat crap. Don't eat it at fast food restaurants. Just stop. Don't do that.
Just eat Bettelli's pizza.
Bettelli's pizza. Anyone homemade in this area. Anyone, the chefs that I could like rattle off that contribute to like the amazing food that is around here and in Scranton, of course, like they're our neighbors. And it's nothing for me to get up to Peculiar Slurp Shop or Bar Pazzo, Backyard Ale House. Like all those places are so good. And I learned so much. I learned so much from all of them too. So it's a great community. How can
our listeners connect with Bettelli's online? Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. Those are kind of the two that I manage those as well. So those are the two that I have time for. And yeah, I'm pretty active on it. So I keep things posted. I keep updates on there. Just with COVID, certain schedules and menu items changed a bit here and there. But I've been commissioned to make pizza for the hospitals on Christmas Day. So I'll be working and doing that. A good customer, Ed Mitchell, he is buying pizza for 3 hospitals. I have to coordinate that tomorrow. So, the holidays, I'll be busy. People will be fed.
That's really cool you're doing that.
Yeah. It's nice. There's a lot of opportunity to do that too. Give back, especially in the food part of giving back. There's always stuff going on that you can volunteer. And I've done with the food bank and the Weinberg Food Bank. And I also on Mondays now pack meals for the Dinner for Kids program at Ollie's. I do that on Mondays. So you can find me there too. And if you ever want to help volunteer, they're always looking for people to pack up dinner for kids in the area.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Well, anything else? Any other secret pizza recipes you want to like let us know about before we end here? Or?
No, I think
you're keeping it to yourself.
Anything that is great around here comes with hard work. So everyone who's doing that work is pushing out a great product. I couldn't imagine, anything like this coming by easy. So yeah, I can give you a recipe. I don't know.
No, I won't be able to replicate it.
It's better just to support your friends who can cook.
I'll just buy it from you.
Yeah, good idea.
Well, thanks again, seriously, for bringing this awesome pizza. I enjoyed it. Darren enjoyed it. Mike here enjoyed it.
Your wife
my
will
wife,
enjoy
I'm
it,
taking
right?
it home. My wife's going to enjoy it. Yeah.
Good.
So
spread the love.
Yeah. So thanks again. On the Stacks podcast, Bettelli's Villa, Jessica Sheehan. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
If you'd like to learn more about the On the Stacks podcast, be sure to search the hashtag On the Stacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. We'll catch you next time on the Stacks.